they gone? Right. So, after the absolute travesty of this year's War of the Worlds, I wanted to talk about one of its predecessors, the 1953 classic that sets the bar for really great sci-fi. It's a film that left as much of an impact as the radio play by Orson Welles 15 years previous. We learn through voiceover that the residents of Mars are seeking a new home, and instead of going through Zillow, they decide to investigate nearby planets.
Their nearest world was giant Jupiter, where there are titanic cliffs of lava and ice with hydrogen flaming at the tops. Nor could they go to Mercury, nearest planet to the sun. It has no air.
And for some reason, Venus didn't make the cut despite being in their price range and having really good schools. They find Earth to be the most homey of places and send a scouting party to check it out. Of course, they don't call ahead or knock, coming in like meteors across the planet. An on-site cop describes the meteor in very technical terms, calling it
a whale of a size.
Later, the sheriff calls upon a group of respected researchers, including one Clayton Forrester, for help. More on him later. As is the case with human nature, one guy can't resist the urge to poke the downed meteor with a stick, despite a musical singer. I'm sure everything will be fine, right? After an introduction to Clayton Forrester and Sylvia Van Buren, we go from radioactive rocks to square dancing. I'm pretty sure the amount of energy being used in this dance could have dispelled that meteor in no time flat. Speaking of, we soon learn
it's no meteor, that's for sure.
Followed by the first appearance of the tripods and their incredibly eerie sounds. These brave guys attempt friendly conversation.
Hey there! Open up!
And the results are not really what they expected. The tripod blast disables lights, clocks, and phones, driving everyone back to the meteor site, when the real trouble begins. The military is called in, and the tripods respond in kind. Dr. Forrester joins the military forces in trying to make sense of what the tripods are up to. Sylvia's uncle advocates for communication, which doesn't go very well. All hell breaks loose and the tripods show no mercy. Sylvia and Forrester flee to the woods with the tripods in pursuit. Elsewhere, a newspaper hawking granny passionately calls out the headlines.
In New York and Miami, fighting outside Los Angeles, all about it.
As LA empties of people, Sylvia and Forrester take cover at a farmhouse, just to have their meal crashed by a Martian ship. The couple attempt to avoid detection in an incredibly suspenseful scene. We also get our first real look at the creatures stalking the planet. Forrester manages to collect an electric eye assembly for future study, as the Martians continue to wreak havoc across the globe. It's discovered their bodies are incredibly primitive despite their advanced technology, and plans are built around that. The decision is made to drop an A-bomb, and they come to a very sober realization if this fails.
The Martians can conquer the Earth in 6 days.
And this is where I leave you to check out the thrilling conclusion of this classic. 1953's War of the Worlds was the first successfully completed film adaptation of the H.G. Wells novel, first published in 1898. Previous attempts at an adaptation had been planned around such notable directors as Cecil B. DeMille, Sergei Einstein, and Alfred Hitchcock. It was ultimately directed by Byron Haskin, with Anne Robinson and Gene Barry in the leading roles. As with most modern adaptations, the story was moved from the Victorian era to modern day, and there was a focus on cutting-edge military technology used to fight the tripods, including a prototype bomber used for the A-bomb scene. There was also an emphasis on faith and religion that you won't find in Wells's original text. There'd also been talk of filming the final act in 3D to bring the LA battle to life, but it was dropped during pre-production. That said, the effects of this movie were something to behold, so much so that War of the Worlds won a Special Achievement Oscar for Best Visual Effects. 1.4 of the movie's $2 million budget was spent on special effects, and the results are on full display. From highly realistic miniatures to the intricate work that went into making the tripod ship's shields, nothing was overlooked. Over half the shots in the movie involved some kind of special effect, and during post-production, each individual disintegration scene took 144 painted matte frames to complete. The sound effects were also quite extraordinary, and a real credit to the Foley department. The Martian scream was a combination of dry ice scraped over a microphone, mixed with a reversed woman's scream. My first viewing of this was as a 7-year-old, and the sounds of the Martian ship stick with me to this day. One thing I had forgotten about was how good the pacing of this was. It holds you in suspense with every moment, especially in places like the farmhouse scene and the lead up to various battles. Producer George Pal was friends with Woody Woodpecker creator Walter Lantz, who always tried to include the iconic bird in his movies as a sign of both friendship and good luck for the production. In this case, it was a witness to the first tripod ship flying across the sky. War of the Worlds was loved by audiences and critics alike, being nominated for 2 Oscars and winning a Special Achievement Oscar for Best Visual Effects. At the time, there was no dedicated competition for that category, just one movie picked each year as an overall winner. The British Board of Film Classification gave War of the Worlds an X rating for alarming and horrific content that couldn't be viewed by anyone under the age of 16. It was finally reclassified in 1981 to an A rating, meaning anyone under 14 could view it. In 2003, the American Film Institute listed The Martians as number 27 in their AFI 100 Years, 100 Heroes and Villains list. And in 2011, War of the Worlds officially joined the National Film Registry. Probably their most significant achievement for me personally is probably a little silly. Joel Hodgson, the creator of Mystery Science Theater 3000, paid homage to War of the Worlds by naming his head mad scientist Dr. Clayton Forrester. And I can think of no greater way to pay tribute to this fantastic movie than that. The stunning sound and visual work stuck with me from my first viewing, creating a deep and lasting interest in special effects work that sticks with me to this day. This film showed us the best of what science fiction could be, and inspired a lot of people to take it to the next step in ways we're still seeing over 70 years later. Made in a time when sci-fi could be a little forgettable, there's no way you'd ever forget this one. It made people pause and reconsider what happened if the Cold War showed up in their backyards, and frankly got into some pretty dark places that would have been unnerving for those with even the strongest of stomachs. It did what Orson Welles was able to do 15 years previous in maybe a little more subtle way. As I discussed in my last review, the more recent War of the Worlds adaptations are a mixed bag for me personally, but they are worth checking out to find one that works best for you. Whatever you do, I highly suggest checking this one out. There are some bits that are very dated by modern standards, but the overall story and just the technical beauty of the film makes it well worth a watch. If you can find it on Blu-ray or 4K, you're in for a real treat with all the restored gorgeous colors, matte work, and so much more. So what do you think? Suggestions for movies, trivial questions, comments, ratings, and the further adventures of Clayton Forrester would be appreciated. Thank you so very much for watching.